Well, back in the 1970s, when I was preparing to enter college, Indiana State had a great reputation for its criminology program. Now, you have to remember that back then there was no internet. There were not a lot of immediate resources available to do a lot of research, no websites about the university, obviously. So, as I recall, I got my information mainly from brochures and other printed information available to me. The second thing is it was affordable. And within an easy distance of Indianapolis, where I grew up, my budget was somewhat limited, obviously, but beyond that, it did have a national reputation at the time for its criminology program. I was considering a career in law enforcement, so it seemed to me to be a good choice for me at the time, and it turned out to be a great experience. I was interested in pursuing a law enforcement career and felt that a course of study in criminology would hold my interest, quite frankly, throughout my college years. And that certainly did prove to be the case. I had a great education and foundation in the principles of law enforcement and criminal investigation and the criminal justice system. I still remember a number of my professors, Dr. Grosskopf, Dr. Nardini, Dr. Skelton, and a number of the principles that they taught at the time resonated with me and continue to resonate with me throughout a very lengthy career in law enforcement and national security in the Houston Police Department and in the FBI over a period of 30 years. Well, my career after leaving ISU turned out to be a fantastic adventure. I moved to Houston, Texas, and went on the police department there. Spent 5 years on the Houston Police Department, 3 years in patrol on the midnight shift, 2 years in the intelligence division as an intelligence officer and investigator on the organized crime squad. While there, I worked with a number of federal agencies, the FBI, DEA, the U.S. Secret Service. And it was through working with the FBI that eventually I was encouraged to apply to be a special agent of the FBI by the agents I was working with in Houston. I applied. It took 1 year from the date of my first application until the date I received notification that I would be appointed a special agent. I then spent 25 and a half years in the FBI as a special agent, as a supervisor, as an assistant special agent in charge, as a senior official at FBI headquarters in Washington, and ultimately I ended my career as the special agent in charge of the Dallas Field Division in Dallas, Texas, where I spent 6 years before I retired. It was a fantastic career full of a lot of adventure. The events of 9/11 did change my career, changed my family's life. On 9/11, I was in the Miami field office. We had a part of the investigation into a number of the hijackers who lived there, and I was in charge of parts of that investigation at the time. I was then promoted to the senior ranks of the federal government and brought back to Washington, D.C., where I served in the Directorate of Intelligence at the FBI in the National Security Branch. And then on to Dallas, where I ended my career in charge of all FBI operations in a large part of the state of Texas. So it was a wonderful career, full of adventure. No day was ever the same. Never had to look for job satisfaction. It was always right there in front of you. I retired from the FBI in 2012 and was recruited to become the Chief Security Officer of Eli Lilly and Company in Indianapolis, right back in my hometown where it all started, after having spent 31 years living in other parts of the country, Houston, Phoenix, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Miami, back to Washington, D.C., Dallas, and then obviously after I retired back to Indianapolis. You know, Indiana State, I had a lot of great friends, some of whom I'm still in contact with today. So I think really the friendships and the camaraderie amongst fellow students here, I remember Donaghy Day. I remember touch football out on the lawn, on the quad in front of the president's residence, actually. So lots of great memories. Intramural sports, we all played intramural sports, softball, wiffle ball inside the rec center and the gym during the winter, volleyball, basketball. Just a lot of great friendships and the ability to learn and explore my chosen field, not only criminology but some business classes as well. So it was a well-rounded educational experience for me, and a lot of great friendships with not only fellow Hoosiers, but some students who we became friends with who were from other parts of the country. So overall, a very positive experience for me. And as I come back to campus, nowadays I see all the great improvements that have been made physically to the campus, and also the great energy through the public relations program, where I sit at home in the Indianapolis area now and see commercials running on television about Indiana State, and that makes me feel pretty good. I think the criminology and criminal justice program at Indiana State, and I've been in many discussions with the leadership of the department, is willing to ensure that its courses of study and programs outside the classroom stay relevant to today's issues in law enforcement and even national security and hopefully one day the intelligence world. I think that's vitally important for the university to and the program to stay relevant in that regard, because the issues in criminology and criminal justice are changing very rapidly to adapt to changes in the world. And although there are other universities with programs, related programs, I think Indiana State is certainly holding its own among them in the forefront of the United States, and I hope it continues to do that in the future years. Work on some core skills of critical thinking, analysis, good verbal and written communication skills. You can have the best thoughts and ideas in the world, but if you can't communicate them in either a strategic or a tactical way in your chosen profession, even if it's not in the world of law enforcement or counterterrorism or national security, even in the private sector or really any career field that they may choose, those skills of critical thinking, analysis, verbal and written communication skills are vitally important. Teamwork is another area that I would urge them to focus on, being collaborative with others in a work group and even externally outside your organization. All of those skills will be rewarded by their employers as they progress in their career, and it will make them successful, and they will derive daily job satisfaction from applying them. The university has taken a lot of great strides in the last few years to develop its campus infrastructure, which I think is very important. You do need a place that people want to go and feel comfortable living on a day-to-day basis while they're going to school. I think I like to see outside speakers from the practitioner world for all the disciplines in the university come onto campus and give students the ability to engage with real-world practitioners in their chosen course of study and their field of educational pursuit. So I think those things are important, and I watch for the university in terms of who it brings in as speakers and these opportunities that can afford students.